I'm Reese. This is Nick. We're two out of the four boots goofing. Today we're doing a video on the top 10 four-player board games. We wanted to hit you guys with the best four-player board games that we choose from when we play every week, so you guys know which games you should be looking out for, maybe playing if you play at 4. Number 10 is Cryptid. Cryptid is a social deduction kind of board game where you'll go through and you're attempting to find where the creature is. And so each player's turn, they're going to choose a space on the board and they're going to ask the other players, could it be here? Kind of like in Clue when you go to the rooms and you pick a weapon and you're like, does anybody have this weapon? Cryptid is basically Clue, but instead of in 4 hours, it's in 15 minutes. And it is solid.
You get that same vibe, but like it's done.
Very good game at 4 players. It also plays 5, and it is also good at 5. But it's one of the best 4-player board games out there if you're looking for that mystery feel.
My number 10 is a game by John D. Clare that came out in 2022, and that is Dead Reckoning, published by AEG. Dead Reckoning is a game we recently got, and it just blew my mind. It's a pirate game. You're going around. You can be a pirate or be a merchant. If you're a pirate, that's going to cause more fights to happen as you're sailing the seas versus other people. If you're a merchant, then you're not going to cause any fights unless you have a specific card that allows you to do it in the deck. The end game scoring is cool. It's just objectives that you have to capture, and once somebody gets 4, that triggers the end game. You're just trying to get a bunch of money, which is your points at the end of the game. The card crafting system that John D. Clare created, it's amazing, and he put it into a 4X game, and I've played it at 3 and 4 players, and it just, when you have a full group for that game, the interaction is intense the whole time. You're always pestering other players. You're going to get in more fights. The pressure's on the entire game. The card crafting system is unreal. It feels like a deck builder, but you're not actually building a deck. You're just upgrading your cards, and no other game does anything like this. Such a great game at any player count, but I really liked it at 4. And that's my number 10, Dead Reckoning.
All right, my number 9 is Everdell Farshore. You'll go through the game placing workers, and at the beginning of the game trying to extend your turn as long as you can, and then at the end of the game you'll score your entire tableau, any other scoring things you picked up throughout the game. Farshore, in my opinion, is a lot better than regular Everdell just for what it is. I feel like with regular Everdell, it feels like you don't have enough and you want to add expansions, and then when you add expansions, it overstays it well. It takes a little bit too long. And Farshore, I think, is better as one package. Some of the things that Farshore adds to the game are map cards, where if you take more than one map, they kind of stack on each other and create a exponential scoring opportunity. And it puts pressure on the rest of the players at the table to try to stop you from taking too many of them. Whereas with regular Everdell, it's more of a race to try to grab the individual medals or events, I think they're called in the original game. And then you'll get flat point bonuses. In Farshore, it gets a little bit more complicated.
And that treasure track on that board is really nice too.
Yes.
It's a really nice addition
to the game. Outside layer, the treasure track around the edge of the board, is where you're sailing your ship throughout Farshore. And the further you get, the more points you get, and I like that part of it. So Farshore is my number 9.
All right. My number 9 is a game that was released in 2023 by Hegemony Project Games. I'm not going to say the designers' names because I can't pronounce them, so sorry guys. But that is Hegemony. This game, I wouldn't even play it not at 4 players. There's no point. I know you can, but I just wouldn't, because having every single class in the game makes it perfect. So what it is, it's basically you're all just kind of parts of an ecosystem. So you got working class, you got middle class, you got capitalist class, and the government. And everybody kind of needs to rely on somebody else, and they all interact with each other in different ways, and you're just trying to do what your class needs to do, because it's an asymmetric game. Everybody does something completely different from everyone else, but you're all playing the same game, and we love stuff like that. If you got asymmetric powers in the game, we're here, we're playing it. And I just love the ecosystem that it creates, and that's why I just wouldn't play it if I don't have a full 4. And I've done the middle class, capitalist class, and the government so far. Loved all 3. Can't wait to play the working class and get my ass kicked.
Yeah, I've played the working class and gotten my ass kicked as well.
By your wife.
Correct. I also like Hegemony, and for me, the theme is very good, and the production quality is also very good. It emulates the relationship between the economic classes in real life super well, and it translates to the table very well. And I do give it bonus points for having great theme and great adaptation from something in real life.
It does take a long time to play.
Yes, but it's worth it.
Yes, it's worth it when you can get it to the table.
Those are the good games, the ones that are worth playing for long.
And that's my number 9, Hegemony.
My number 8 is Five Tribes, which is an abstract game where you're basically playing Mancala with extra steps. Very good game. What you do is you take a bunch of different colored workers, throw them into a bag, and you lay them out on the board on tiles. And what you'll do is you'll choose a tile that has a bunch of different kinds of workers on it. You'll pick that whole tile up, all those workers, and you have to travel across the board with those workers to an end destination. And at that end destination, based on which worker you place at that last destination, you will take a certain action. And it's all about getting the most points by the end of the game by either set collection or taking control of the spaces on the board by eliminating all the pieces on one tile, or just collecting more money than all the other players at the table. And it's also one of those games that gets bonus points from me because money, the currency that you use mostly in the game, is 1-to-1 with points. And a lot of the games that are 1-to-1 points for money are very good games because it creates a large choice mechanic for people. If they spend their money, then that's points that they could be keeping at the end of the game. And in Five Tribes specifically, turn order is based off of bidding. So you'll bid with your points whether or not you want to go first. And the game ends when there are no more available moves. So at the end of the game, if you don't bid high enough, you may not take another turn just like everyone else at the table. Very good game. Works very well at 4 players. Is actually also really good at 2.
It's amazing at 2.
If you're looking for a 2-player game as well, Five Tribes is also very good at 2 players, but great game at 4. Plays in about probably an hour and a half to 2 hours. Great game. That is my number 8.
Great push and pull in that game.
Oh yeah,
when you're trying to decide what to bid, and like you can really calculate exactly how many points you're going to get from your move, so you know how many points you should bid. Yeah, it's so good.
Every turn is a puzzle because it's like, could I do this with my turn and move these workers there to take care of this, or is it more points for me to go and take this tile or get this set that's along the shop? Very good game.
No other game has done anything like this.
Great gimmick. Yeah, great, amazing.
My number 8 is a 2020 release by one of the greatest designers ever, Paul Dennen, published by Direwolf Games. This is Dune Imperium, which he loves this game. Dune Imperium is a great 4-player game. One of the main reasons you can play Dune Imperium with 4 in like an hour and a half, 2 hours, which is the sweet spot for games for me. But what it is, it's a deck building and worker placement game. You're gonna get these cards, and the cards you play allow you to put workers in specific locations. It's just a race to 10 points, which is kind of nice that it's not like there's a little bit of end game scoring, but it's just like once you get there, the game ends and you kind of know who wins, but you know what you need to accomplish. But you're putting your cards out, placing workers, and then the cards that you didn't play to place your workers, you reveal to use it for buying power from the shop. And then there's a couple different strategies in the game where you can just bump up these tracks that'll get you points, or you can fight in this fight by adding people to it and then winning the victory point at the end, which there's a couple different combat cards that you'll get. Some of them are victory points, some of them are resources, but that's one strategy you can do. And another one that's my favorite is by just laying my hand down and using all of my buying power to get the card that's like 9 buying power, but it's just 1 victory point, which sounds stupid because it's like, oh, I'm just going to not play the game and score a point. But I really like that part. The deck building isn't like, it's not amazing. It's not my favorite, but I still think this game at 4 players is still really solid. He makes it different. That's my number 8.
Anyway, my number 7 is Agricola by Uwe Rosenberg. Very important guy. He's made a lot of great board games.
He's made like 5,000 board games. I swear to God.
Agricola is a mean worker placement game where you are trying to farm as best as possible, better than the opponents. And there's multiple different ways to farm, but the way you score in this game is not by choosing one path. You kind of want to do a little bit of everything in the game. But when you place your workers somewhere, they will block that location, and you can get more workers throughout the game. However, when you get more workers throughout the game, you have to feed them, and food is pretty hard to come by in Agricola. And if you don't have enough food to feed them, you get negative points. And negative points is not good, considering a good score for your first game is like 25 points total.
But what did our friend score in his first game?
7.
Sorry, Jay.
A difficult game, but it is a game that is pretty simple to learn. A lot of it is in the cards. There are cards that you have in Agricola that will change your game from one game to another. It'll never be the same. The replayability of this game is probably one of the highest replayability games that we've got in our collection. It gives you way too many cards. cards for what the game really is, and it makes it infinitely replayable. You'll draft these cards at the beginning, or you'll just deal them out randomly for your first couple games, and these cards will give you special abilities or different actions or augment the actions of the game to give you an edge over the other players. And as you build those cards up, you can try to go for them a lot, or you can try to just beat the players to the buck on the board. And it offers you a lot of replayability in a game that is relatively simple. The action spaces on the game are the same, although the order can change throughout the rounds. The same actions will come up every single phase, every harvest. The different cards that you have in your decks may change, so it may change how much one action is worth to you over another. And that is why this game is my number 7. Super replayable, pretty quick, it's in the sweet spot, an hour and a half to 2 hours, and there's a lot of nuance to it. It's just placing your worker and taking the resources, but there's a lot of timing that's involved, whether or not you want to take the first player token, whether or not you need to do something on your farm that you haven't been doing so that you can get easy points. Great game, great at 4 players. That's my number 7.
You got to do a little bit of everything.
You do.
That's why it's so good.
Yeah, that's why it's so good. And it's so replayable. It's crazy how replayable that game is. And there's expansions. I don't even have the expansions, and I'll still
need them.
Infinitely replayable even without expansions. And there's a million expansions. And I believe it's also on Kickstarter right now for the special edition.
Yeah, special edition.
Awaken Realm. So if you want to drop $400 on a worker placement game, that's your spot.
Also, quit saying Caverna is better. I'm sick of it. Sick of it. Caverna is better because it's not as mean. That's the point. Caverna wouldn't even exist if Agricola didn't happen. Stop playing Caverna and saying it's better. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, Agricola is one of those games where you will get better the more you play it. It is one of those games where you can consistently improve your strategy from one game to another. And that's another reason why I really like it.
It doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't always work. What you decide to do does not always work, and you'll find out. But you can improve from game to game. That is a very good part of it.
My number 7 is a 2024 release by Johan Benvenuto, published by Libelud. That is Harmonies. And this, since I bought it, this has hit the table, I think 30 times already. Like, this is a group favorite for sure. It's just a little tile laying game where you're putting stuff on top of it to score points based on the animals. It's literally like Cascadia and Spectacular and all these other, there's like 40 games that do the same thing, but I don't think any of them do it as good as Harmonies does. It plays in like 30 to 40 minutes at 4 players, and it's just smooth. Because while it's kind of a drafting thing, so you're going to take your 3 tiles, you'll place them. You got some animal cards where you need to put the cubes on their specific pattern on the card. But after you do that, basically, once it's refilled, like you're sitting there doing your planning, the next person's taking their turn. By the time you actually figure out where you need to put everything, it's almost back to you again. So it doesn't matter what player count you play this at. That's why it's so good at 4. Because to have this amount of crunch in a game for 30 minutes of play with 4 people, you're not going to find it.
Yep.
Very hard to find.
That amount of crunch and a game box this big.
Yeah. And
we
got the chunky tiles in the bag. They're so nice.
The play pieces.
Oh, yeah. Play pieces are good. The production's good. The artwork is nice looking. I'm not an art guy, but I appreciate some of the artwork.
When it doesn't look like a GMT game yet.
Oh God. or Agricola.
All right. They got the special edition, so
that's why they made a special edition. But that's my number 7, Harmonies.
My number 6, another game that looks good, Robot Quest. This is the best skirmish game I've played. You'll pick a robot, it's a deck builder. You'll add weapons and armaments and energy to your deck to use against the other robots that are in the arena. It can play up to 6 people, but it really plays super well at 4. At that point, the game probably takes between an hour to an hour and a half, and it's a lot of the times it's a pretty tight game, and a lot of the robots have different abilities. Some of them are just passive bonuses. Some of them give the robots extra actions.
Jaws is broken.
Jaws is very good.
First.
Jaws is very good. But yeah, Robot Quest, deck builder. You'll fight the other robots. You'll buy cards with energy on your turn to try to improve your upcoming turns and improve your lethality against the other robots. And the points that you earn in the game are the other robot's health. So whenever you damage another robot, you'll take their health off of their board and keep it for yourself. And that is the point structure. And then after the resource pools for the health are drained to a certain point, the game will end. And whoever has taken the most health from the other robots, or there's a few other ways that you can get points as well, will win. Great game if you want to have a fight with your significant other. Is a great game for that.
Yeah, if you just want to beat the shit out of each other for an hour.
Yep.
That's the game.
Great time. Great time. So that's my number 6, Robot Quest Arena.
All right. My number 6 is a 2022 release designed by Tim Eisner, Ben Eisner, and Ian Moss, and published by Druid City Games. This is a big box game, very expensive, but the production quality is out of this world. That's Wonderland's War. Wonderland's War I had wanted for a long time, but it just wasn't available because they spent so much on the production and it sold out immediately, and it just was not you weren't able to get it for like 2 years at least. Finally got it. Obviously got the upgraded chips because I'm not playing with cardboard. Okay, if I'm playing a bag builder, I'm getting the chip tokens. You got the chips. You gotta spend more money. Just makes sense. That's right. But this is a bag building area control game. And essentially what you're going to do is you're going to have 2 phases. You have the Tea Party phase where you're going to go around and collect these cards that are going to give you certain chips, which are different Wonderlandians that you're going to put in your bag. And they each have a different ability, a different power value. You can put those in your bag. And it also gives you some other things because you all have an asymmetric character that has some different powers that card might let you upgrade. It'll also determine how many warriors you can put out in specific areas on the board, which will be the second half of the game where you will be doing the war part. So if you are in a spot with anybody else, you'll start a war, and all that you're going to do is pull one chip out of the bag at the same time, open it up. The problem is you also have madness tokens in there. If you have madness tokens, you have to get rid of one of your warriors, and if you run out of warriors, then you bust and you get nothing.
Oh, you get nothing. You lose.
Basically, you're just trying to fight in the 5 different areas. Winner of the fight gets to put a castle down, which can be worth points. You also get points just for winning the fight or getting in second place. But there's a great balance. You don't necessarily need to win because you have objective cards that might say, oh, you need to stop on the power track at a certain point, and then you can score that. So we've had people that won by just fighting. We had people that won by just doing their objective cards. It's a great game. It's so much fun. Just everybody's in a fight, all pulling at the same time, and then 3 people pull the double madness and they're out of the game. Like it's just a fun time. And I wouldn't play this at 5 again. I have played it at 5. It just gets a little bit long, and I think 4 players is the sweet spot. I've played it at 3, and there's just not enough. There's not enough war. Okay, it's Wonderland's War, and it's a 3-player game. You don't have enough war. I played a 3-player game where I was in like 3 different locations and nobody went there, so I just won. I didn't get to do the fun part of the game. 4 players, you're gonna have a bunch of fights because you only play for 3 rounds. It's a hoot every time, and the production quality, like I said, it's out of this world. You're not going to find many games with this level of production. So if you can find a copy of Wonderland's War, definitely pick it up. My number 6.
My number 5, we've already talked about. That is Hegemony. This
Crossover.
is such a good game. It is my best long game for 4 players. It's at least 6 hours for your first play. When you play it more often, you learn everything already, you know how the game works, you can cut it down pretty well.
I mean, if I didn't have kids, we could probably knock it out 3.5.
Yeah.
But, you know.
It's a complex game. There's not another game quite like it where you are taking actions and doing things on your turn to try to score the right amount of points for your class specifically, because all the different classes in the game will score differently. And that is my favorite part, is how all of the classes score very differently, but they all depend on each other in some way and can affect each other in some way throughout the game. And sometimes you really got to hope that someone's going to side with you and they might not side with you. And there's a super good amount of complexity over top of that, trying to collaborate with players where you can, and choosing your battles and trying to negotiate with people at times in the game to give you an edge over everybody else. So you're looking for a game that might be longer and more complex for your play group at 4 players, this is definitely one of the best ones out there for a long play time. You're going to love this game if you can just get through the first play. It's great. Hegemony is number 5.
My number 5 is a 2023 release. I'm not going to say the designers, but it's published by Devere Games, one of my favorite publishers. They just have great quality. But this is The White Castle. It's their best game also. Just pointing that out. The White Castle is such a good game. It plays in like an hour. And it's one of the crunchiest, brain-melting games that we own. Like, you finish the White Castle and you need to go take a nap because your brain's on fire. But it's a dice placement, kind of worker placement game. Taking a die off of one of the bridges and then doing the action that associates with that. But what the trick of the White Castle is, you only have 9 turns in the entire game. You have 3 turns and you have 3 rounds. So you need to wombo combo your way to victory, and that is why it's so good. Wombo combos are the best. So you're putting the die here to do this action, lets you trigger the other action. When you do that action, you can trigger this action, which lets you do this thing on your board, and then you do this other thing. You do that 9 times. And when you do some turn where you're just like, I do that and I get this and that's it, you feel like you suck. Because if you're doing that, you're probably losing. You have to make every single turn count, and I love that about this game. And that is the White Castle, my number 5. And we did play with the matcha expansion that adds the 4th die color. I liked it, but I think it kind of took away from the fact that the game is 9 turns and only plays an hour. So it did add some fun stuff, but I think that the base game of the White Castle is the best way to play.
My number 4 is Space Base. Very good engine building game. So if you're looking for a quick... John D. Clair.
He don't miss.
The man himself.
That's what
John
D
D. Clair
stands for.
John D. Clair does not miss.
That's what D
Bro cooks. So shout out to John D. Clair. He's cooking. You gotta let him cook. Space Base is a game where you're basically buying starships to add to your fleet, and it's kind of like similar to Machi Goro, where players on the turns will roll dice, and then based on those dice, they will trigger their starships. And if you have a starship on its red side, other players, when they roll that number, you'll get a benefit. And on your turn, you'll get the benefit of all of the starships on your board. And the benefits are different depending on what starship you buy, and there's different levels of starships. So throughout the game, as you get money, you can try to save up to get a higher quality starship, or you can just buy a ton of the small starships to try to trigger as much on other people's turns. So a bunch of different ways to play the game, a bunch of different ways to score, and the player who gets to 40 points wins. Great game, plays in an hour or less, even at 4 players. And even when other people are taking their turn, you get to do stuff because they will trigger the starships on your board that you have flipped to the red side. So it keeps you engaged even when it's not your turn. So it's like quasi-simultaneous play.
No downtime.
And it's very good. Very good game at 4 players. I believe it can play more than 4.
You can play 5. If you get the command station expansion, you can play 7.
Yeah, and it would probably play good at those player counts too. So if you have a bigger play group, this could definitely be a hit as well. So that is my number 4, Space Base by John D. Clair, the GOAT.
My number 4 is a old game, 2010 release date. They just remade it actually, but this is Lords of Vegas, published by Mayfair Games. Lords of Vegas I found because of Shut Up and Sit Down. I'm sure if you're watching a board game channel, you probably know who those people are. And they said this is the Monopoly killer. So if you like Monopoly, which is a bad game, play this instead. And they were correct. There was a while where my group didn't like this game at all, but most of them have warmed up to it just because of the sheer fun that you have. Like, there's always some explosive laughter that happens. So all you're really doing, it's such a random game. You're just flipping a card. You're taking that lot that's on the board, and then you spend money to either build hotels, and then you put your die value there, and then there's the 5 or 6 different colors of casinos, and then it's a grid board, so they kind of connect to each other. And if you ever have the same color casino as somebody else's tile, whoever has the high die value in that section owns that entire casino. You will get money for it, but you don't get points. And the best part about it is you can re-roll the dice by spending $1 per pip of die that you're re-rolling. So you have this giant casino and I'm going to pay $30 million to re-roll all of these dice. And you have 4 dice in it. He has 3 and somebody else has 1, and you roll them all. And the one person, you rolled a 6 for their die, and now they own that casino and your turn's over because you have no money. That happens so many times. You can also gamble at other people's casinos, and all you're doing is rolling dice, trying to get a specific number that either they pay you or you pay them. So you can just spend your whole turn stealing everyone's money, essentially, as long as you're rolling well, and then spend it all to re-roll the casino and then blow it. So it's just stupid. The game is just stupid, but it's stupid fun. And that's why it's my number 4. Highly recommend.
Very good game if you want some shenanigans. Laughter at the table, crazy stuff happening. This is the one.
Yeah, if you're looking for something serious, don't play this game.
Nope. No, this ain't the one. This ain't it. My number 3 is The Crew. And that's my best co-op game for 4 people. So that probably just made a lot of people mad, but hear me out. The Crew is a trick-taking game where people will get hands of cards and they cannot communicate with one another, even though they're on the same team. And you'll get different goals that get laid out on the table. And it's basically random who picks the goals. You will pick which one, but the order is randomized. And then you have to fulfill that goal throughout the game. And the goals are typically like, this person has to win this card, or has to win a certain amount of hands, or something like that. So you're working together, even though you don't know what's in each other's hands, to try to make sure that each person achieves their goals. Because if one person does not achieve their goal throughout the game, everyone loses. So it kind of takes the same feel that euchre has. If you're from Ohio, you know what euchre is. Where you're trying to figure out what's in everybody else's hand to make the correct play. Only you're doing it in a cooperative fashion. And I think it has a very unique take on a trick-taking game, especially with it being co-op. It plays in a very short amount of time. We're talking 15 minutes for one round. And the game book comes with a ton of scenarios. I think there's 100 in the first book. I might be wrong about that. Maybe it's 50, but there's a ton of missions to play. And you can also just play randomized missions. So this game, very good. And specifically at 4 players, it's very good. At 3 players, I've played it because of the nature of a trick-taking game and how it works with the deduction aspect. It's way easier at 3. And you can play it at 5, but it even says in the rule book, it gets way more difficult at 5. So if you're really looking for a challenge at 5 players for a co-op game, it's probably a good pick as well.
There's also 2 different crews.
Yes, there's 2 different ones.
The Crew Quest for Planet 9 and the Crew Mission Deep Sea.
The Crew Mission Deep Sea is basically like a second edition of the first game.
Yeah,
it is just completely improved upon the first game. We own both. I have the Crew behind me right now, and he has.
I also have both.
Yeah, and he has both, and we've played both. But the Mission Deep Sea just adds some more to what the Crew was already doing with the first game. So both great games. You get either of them, probably both. Pick them both up, pretty cheap.
If you like euchre, but you don't have 4 people, and you can play the Crew at 2.
Yes,
so like that works too.
Very good game. Yeah, very good co-op game. Very quick co-op game. That's my number 3.
My number 3 is a crossover with Reece, designed by a guy that doesn't miss. And this is Space. Everything he said about Space is great. I just wanted to add the kind of nuance of the game about what player count you're playing at. You have to change your strategy completely based on player count because of the nature of the game, depending on how many opponents you have versus what you have, because you either activate your ships on your turn, you activate the top of your ships on other people's turn. So if you're playing a 2-player game, then the strategy is different because there's 3 tracks. There's money, points, and income. And income will set your money. Income is only useful in certain player counts, really. And I love that part, that even 2 plays different than 3, plays different than 4, plays different than 5, but it still plays in 30 minutes to an hour, no matter what. If that, he doesn't miss.
He doesn't miss.
Space.
All right, now we're up to the big 2. My number 2, one of the greatest games of all time. That would be Clank. We got the legacy version back there. That's one of the great things about Clank. The developers have a ton of different versions of the game that you can play, a ton of different expansions for the game that you can play. So if you like the base game like we do, you can grab anything else to add to it. Another infinitely replayable game. Basically what you're doing in Clank is you're taking an adventurer and you have a deck, and you're going to add to that deck. Can you tell we like deck building? You're going to add to that deck throughout the game to make your dungeon delving more efficient in whatever way that you want it to be. It's also another one of those games where the currency that you have in game, gold, is straight points. There's a strategy where you just get the most gold in the game, and that's how you win. And all you're doing on your turn is you're trying to get an artifact down in the depths, and then you're trying to get back out of the depths with that artifact to score, and you're trying to get all the way back out to where you started to get additional scoring. But the catch is, the dragon is after you. On your turns, you might add Clank to the bag, and it's these little cubes, and they'll get thrown in the dragon bag. And every single time a card is pulled from the deck that has a dragon symbol on it, you will pull cubes from the dragon bag, and then characters will be damaged. And if a character ever has 10 damage on them, they're eliminated from the game. If you're in the depths, you score 0 points. So there is a push your luck aspect where, can I stay down in the depths and grab some more stuff and kill some more monsters to try to score some more points before I go back up? Or should I just run with what I got now so that I'm certain that I'm going to score? So there's a push your luck aspect to this game. There's a ton of replayability because the shop is always changing. There's always different cards you can buy, or a different deck that you build that creates a certain engine on your turn. Every single game is different. Every single game scores differently between everybody. It ends up differently. There's always a lot of exciting moments, like really close moments at the end of the game when you're trying to get out and you're trying to score.
It plays so good at 4.
It does.
And it's because of how they designed it. When a player gets eliminated, the dragon starts attacking more. In the base game, it's just a track, so you literally have 4 turns to get out after one player dies or escapes. After that, they just said every time it gets to that player's turn, even though they're dead, you just do a dragon attack. So it just speeds up the game. And the push your luck deck building, it shines so well. I love the Clank. It's just so thematic. Like you're going down in a dungeon and you're just making too much noise, and now the dragon's going to wake up and fuck you up.
Yeah. Also, this is another one of those games that gets bonus points for me because I love games that there isn't a score track. This is one of those games where you don't know what the other players are scoring. You'll see what artifacts they pick up because there are artifacts in the game, and those are typically where you're getting most of your points in this game. And so you'll know what artifact each player has, but you don't know how many points they have in their deck.
It's got a point salad.
You don't know if they have any secret points.
Yeah.
And so you have no idea how the game is going to end up until you start scoring at the end of the game. Great game.
Yeah.
Let's Clank. My number 2.
My number 2 is another great game that was released in 2018 by Cole Werley, published by Leader Games. That's Root, which if you haven't heard about Root by now, you need to get with the program. This game is unlike any other game I've ever played. And it's unlike any other game anyone will ever play. And it's genius. Okay? It's a asymmetric war game, but you are all little woodland creatures. And it doesn't look like a war game. But everybody is playing the same game. It's kind of like Hegemony. You're playing the same game, but you're all doing completely different things in the same game. It's just a race to 30 points. You're thinking, a race to 30 points in a war game? That's right. You're still fighting and doing all these things, but you're racing to 30 points. The fighting is, there's not like, oh, I'm rolling a bunch of dice and you're rolling a bunch of dice. You're just, if you're getting in a fight, you roll 2 dice, you take the high value, defender takes the low value. But the best part about the game is the interaction between all the different factions. There's 4 in the base box. They have 3 expansions out now, coming out with a 4th one. And then every time you get a new expansion, it's 2 more factions to play with, which now will interact with the other factions differently. And then you get to see how like this one would interact with that one. Some of them have a lot of warriors on the board. Some of them are more insurgent, so they're like kind of sneaky and do behind the scenes backstabbing type stuff. So it's just fun to see the balance whenever you play new factions. And we fell in love with this game almost immediately, and I never want to stop playing. I got obsessed with this game. There's only a few games in my life that I got obsessed with, and I'm talking before board games, like League of Legends. I played that for 6 years straight. I thought about Root like I thought about League of Legends. So you have to understand how good this game is. Buy all the expansions as well. Worth it. And that's my number 2.
All right, I didn't add anything to what he was saying because my number 1 is Root. Very good war game. Best war game that I've played. Played a bunch of different ones trying to find something like it because we played Root pretty early on when we started playing board games.
We probably played it too early.
Yeah, probably. The biggest thing I want to add to what he said is, again, for me, replayability is crazy. And with Root, like we said, depending on the matchup, who else is on the board can drastically change how well the other factions perform. And it's crazy how different the game is based on who is playing what faction. And it adds to the replayability a ton. This is one of those games where you can buy one game and that's your collection. You can play this game that often and still have fun with it because every single faction is going to have a different strategy based off of every single different matchup. And it plays best at 4. When you have less than 4 at the table, it feels like there's not enough going on. And when you have more than 4 at the table, it feels like there's too much going on.
Would we play with 7?
Yes, we played with 7 at my bachelor party. Don't recommend it. It was terrible. There's too much going on. It took like 7 hours. It was nuts.
Well, everyone was also drunk.
Yeah.
that's the problem, but it's fun.
But anyway, great game with how replayable it is and how you can really decide, I want to play every single faction in the game, or I could play the same exact faction every single time and try to get good at them.
Yeah, like you pick a main.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. Great interaction. Highly recommend the expansions. If you get the base game and you like it, get the expansions. You're not going to regret it. They add so much to the game. Like I said, with the different interactions between each faction, they add a lot to the game if you get the expansion. So this is one of those games where I really recommend, if you like it, pick up the expansions. You're going to like it even more. My number one is Reece.
My number one is a crossover with Reece by Paul Dennen, and that's Clank. Got a lot of Paul Dennen and John D. Clare on this list.
Oh yeah.
Odd. They don't miss. It took us a while to actually find this game. I kind of survey our group as the person that buys all the board games and then shows it to us. I just buy everything and then play it because when I'm at home I just watch content and find stuff. So I found Clank and I'm like, oh, this seems pretty interesting. So we played the base game of Clank. Loved it immediately. I think we played it every week for like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Then I found out there's the legacy version of Clank. Bought that. We played that for like 3 months straight. Chef's kiss. And it just elevated everything that the base game did. Added a little story, which we kind of ignored, to be honest with you, but you don't need it. It just added enough extra to keep us interested. Then we bought Catacombs, because there's a Catacombs one where you build the map out as you play. That's actually my second least favorite one, but
it's my favorite.
It's his favorite one. Outside more than Legacy?
Legacy 2 is actually super good. Okay, shout out to Legacy 2. It's crazy.
Legacy 2 also. They also made that, and that one is also great. We're still in the progress of that campaign. We'll be busting it out here pretty shortly because it's coming up on my list.
Yeah.
But every single game hits. Like, even though Catacombs is my second least favorite, it's still a great game. I still love it. I even played Clank in Space with our friend Jay, and that one's my least favorite Clank, but I still loved it because it's the same basic mechanic of building this deck, and there's so many different strategies that you can do within that deck, and the push your luck of just like, oh, do I have another turn? Am I going to survive this next round? And at 4 players, the tension and the fighting for each artifact is at its peak, I think. I know you can play it at 6 with an expansion, and you can play it at lower player counts. Like, I wouldn't even play it at 2. I feel like it's not worth it. 3 would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But 4, it's not even that long. You play it at 4, except for the legacy ones are going to be longer. But that's just the nature of the game. But it adds so much that it's totally worth it. This is our favorite game for so long, and we still love playing it. We kind of played on the app. They also have an app now because we have a bunch of expansions, so it's kind of chaotic to try to get on the board. But the app is very smooth if you want to try that. And we were playing the app while playing another game on the table because Clank is that good. We just wanted to play it all the time. I highly recommend any version of Clank. If you like Space, get Space. If you want to build the board out, play Catacombs. If you just want a base game, just a simple thing, get base Clank. Get the legacy version if you like the base version. They just have so many options because it's that good. It's that popular. And that is my number one, Clank.
The only thing I'm going to add to what he said about Clank is we play with 4 people almost all the time, like we said in our intro video and at the beginning of this one. And there are very few games where all 4 of us agree. And Clank is one of those very few games where all 4 of us agree this is a great game. So if you're looking for one game to buy out of this list, Clank is the one.
Thank you for watching our video. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below of anything you'd like to see in the future.
And don't forget to hit the bell and give us a follow on social media down in the description below.